Good afternoon. Welcome to Soul Conversation. Today I have a LordTruffington who is very active in the NFT world. So LordTruffington used to be an investment banker, entrepreneur, and he dived into the NFT world, collected more than 1,000 NFT pieces, and also become an NFT photographer artist as well, a superware artist. So today we're gonna go through LordTruffington's journey, transition from entrepreneur, from investment banking, entrepreneur, and NFT world. Also, we're gonna touch into as a collector, what should you look into the market, how you starting your collecting journey, and also as artist, advice from one of the top artists in the NFT world.
Well, thank you very much. It's my honor and pleasure to be here, and I look forward to discussing all of these things.
So my first question will be asking, lots of people is really intrigued, you know. You were investment banker in Wall Street, in London, and you were a tech entrepreneur, and then also dive into NFT. So when did you start NFT, and what is the transition journey like?
I like challenges and I like to learn new things. And so I think it's only normal that throughout my life I have kind of dived into different areas that always have a bit of a thread, but there are different spaces with different skill sets and different sets of knowledge is required to master them. And so yeah, I started over 20 years ago in banking, as you said, in London and New York. And after 10 years in that space, hedge funds and banking and investments, I wanted to try my hand at startups. I think they were becoming back then a lot more popular, if you can say that. And, I had a lot of friends that were trying to set up tech businesses, and London is, being based in London, I think has been a big blessing.
Hub, yes.
Incredible ecosystem and support for budding entrepreneurs. And so 2014, 2015, decided to take the plunge and started my business together with a business partner, a mobile app in the recruitment space. And that was certainly a very interesting journey and experience. The business went, we grew. It was at some point relatively successful. But then, some issues, some cracks started to appear in the overall business model. And unfortunately, being in recruitment, when COVID hit in 2020, we were impacted quite significantly. So at the end of that year, I ended up leaving the business and having another CEO to continue to try to run the business. And that's when I discovered NFTs, and I discovered them through an article that talked about a platform called NBA Top Shot, which is a collectible basketball-related collectible cards in NFT form. And I started reading about NFTs. I was familiar with crypto, but not involved in crypto. I knew what blockchain was, but never invested in crypto. And I think that was the biggest rabbit hole of my whole life, and I fell head first, and the rest is history, as they say.
Some people watching this video probably have no idea, very clear definition of an NFT. I mean, how did you find an NFT, and also how do you see NFT play its role in the Web3 future?
Okay, so if we take a step back, NFT stands for non-fungible token. I think the key word is fungible or non-fungible, which is probably a bit alien word for most people. The point is that fungibility is something that you can where something is substitutable, is swappable for something else.
Right, yeah.
The easiest example is a £20 banknote. is the same as another £20 banknote. So they are fungible.
Yeah.
One is the same as the other.
Yeah.
If you take one of your beautiful artworks, one is not the same as the other, and you can't exchange one for the other.
Yeah.
So they are non-fungible. And I think that's the main difference. Now, the token part is because these NFTs are tokens that are registered on a blockchain. A blockchain is it's a public ledger where transactions are recorded, a little bit like if you like, the register where the government keeps where all the house properties are, where the property of houses is registered. Now, the difference is that this is public. So a fungible token on a blockchain would be a cryptocurrency where one Bitcoin is the same as another Bitcoin. And a non-fungible token is an artwork or a collectible, a particular collectible that is different from another collectible. So again, in a nutshell, that's what NFTs are, and they've become popular, I think, from end of 2020. Although the technology had been around already for a few years, I think. End of 2020, beginning of 21, that's when we started to see a rise in popularity, especially in the art space. So as a way to package and sell digital art. And obviously, I think the peak or the most famous moment was the sale of the artwork by this American artist called Beeple for 69 million. And so I think that brought it all of a sudden in front of everybody's eyes and caught the attention of the media, etc. And that's where I think we had a bit of a bubble that year, also fueled by that very large transaction.
Also, people asking the question, how valuable is an NFT is actually,
It's I think NFTs today have in certain environments, they have acquired a little bit of a bad reputation, primarily because very often they are associated with this bubble in 21 and the subsequent bust in 22 and this year.
But that's also remind me of .com as well.
Yes.
When the first Internet of Things happened, they also crap 2000
exactly.
Stuff. And then exactly the circle, because this whirlpool goes through a circle of peak and bust, and then got back to normal. And then it seems probably Web3 would follow the same path.
I am 100% sure that will be what will happen. Now, I like to make like a distinction that sometimes is, especially for people that are not very familiar with the space, is a distinction that is lost. NFTs, like what we have seen in 21, especially with these digital collectibles and with digital art, it's only one application of the NFT technology. And the NFT technology, let's say, is an application of blockchain. And like when there are new technologies, it's very common that the first thing that becomes popular or that gains structure in the market is the thing that is easier to understand for the masses.
Right.
So saying that an NFT is linked to a JPEG, so to a digital file that contains an image, it's very easy to understand. But the reality is that the NFT as a technology will become more and more prevalent in everything we do in our lives. I mean, in 10 years' time, I think our passports will be NFTs, our credit records, our credit scores, our medical records will be NFTs. Everything that we do will be linked to one form or another of a token that is on a blockchain. The main reason is that there are really good, really strong benefits to having this data on a blockchain. It's impossible. There is no fraud. There is a forever immutable certificate of ownership and provenance of something. So, you could buy a house, and the deed of ownership of the house can be an NFT.
The concept is a very proven concept.
Absolutely. I think so. NFT as a technology and as a concept, is exactly like internet. Today we talk about, websites, for instance, but no one actually says anymore that, they have a website. It's something that is just normal that a business will have a website. And I think it will be for everybody, for all the use cases. Everybody will have NFTs for a lot of things, and it will not be something that we really think about.
That's our prediction. That's not
for prediction. Sure. In terms of technology. Art, digital art, again, slightly separate, but is something that, will continue to follow the ups and downs of the market, like the traditional art world. But for sure, that's here to stay as well.
Cool. So come back to a personal journey. I want to ask you, because I think lots of people really want to have a transformation journey from one career to the others. How does skill set fit in? And then how do you feel like, giving your skill set and your experience in the investment banking and entrepreneur and become NFT collectors and also NFT artists? How do you find actually the past life skills transferable to your new life?
Yeah, as I said at the beginning, I think I'm someone that really loves challenges and really love to learn new things. So I love when I'm faced with something that I don't know anything about, and I have to kind of get smart about it and trying to understand in the shortest amount of time. Now, it is true, as you said, that there are, I think, a lot of transferable skills that we can bring from one business to another. And these transferable skills very often are their personal traits and they're personal skills that we have developed working. Exactly. And those skills are with you, your ability to focus, or your ability to learn something quickly, or there are things even more technical, how markets work. I used to be an investor in institutional investors, and when I came to NFTs at the beginning, I was doing a lot more trading, which was a lot more similar to what I used to do, in my banking days. So there are more technical skills, but ultimately it's about, understanding people, first of all, because we always interact with people. I think having the interest, first of all, and then the ability to do the work and learn something new.
About interacting people, my question will come to the community building, because NFT in this sector is so much about community building, and actually lots of people didn't realize how important it's about the community building and to talk to people, to really supporting each other, which is actually very different with the Wall Street mentality, in the finance background, totally different. And how would you say, like, your piece of advice and people actually would, tap into the community building? What should they do? And also, how did you navigating from your past, also very different mentality to this very supportive way of,
I think you hit on a very important point. That one of the most amazing and beautiful things of this NFT space and ecosystem is really the community. There is I think we've managed to create, through the hard work of everybody, and we've been able to create really a space that where people really help each other. Now, obviously, it's not always so. Sometimes you have some bad actors, and it's not always everything perfect. But maybe helped by the way this world developed. So on Twitter and on Discord, which is another kind of private community where people that belong to a certain group can talk and chat. And I think it created this space where we do help try to help each other a lot. Now, you're right, that's very different especially from banking and finance. I think the transition was for me a lot easier because I became an entrepreneur first. And I was running my startup for almost 6 years. And the difference is that when you are in high pressure, highly paid employment jobs like banking, finance, you tend to be rewarded and remunerated.
The goal setting quite differently.
For what you know, for your knowledge, for your very specific sectorial specialized knowledge. And so it's really hard to share that knowledge a lot because I think you feel that you're losing a little bit of your competitive edge.
Right.
Then I became an entrepreneur, and very quickly you realize that running a company has so many different aspects. No one can possibly know all of them, or not even half of them. So you have to rely on other people that have a different skill set, and that even among entrepreneurs or with your partner, with your business partner. So what happens is that you start to share a lot, and you realize that when you start to really share and receive from other people what they are sharing, it's you become so much more efficient and effective. And so I learned that in startups, and I think I brought that to the NFT community, and I've always tried to help. At some point I was probably talking to I don't want to say 100, but almost artists every day. Wow. That would send DMs, and I was on direct messages all the time, giving advice. And I have to say, at some point, it became quite intense, and I burned out a little bit there, so I took it a bit easier. But I always try to really help and support people, individual people, and the community as a whole.
Yeah.
Because I think it's important. And I've been equally supported by the communities, not
That's
just
amazing.
being a one-way street.
Yeah. So as an artist, so we talk about artists now. What is your eye as a street photographer? What is catching you? What kind of moment catching you? Because I saw a few of your works, very interesting. Some with poetry, some were like a street architect. So what is really catching your eye as artist?
For me, as the transition to from, let's say, finance guy to entrepreneur, and then to digital art collector, and then to artist or to creator, it's been a very interesting one. I would have never, even just 5 years ago, I would have never thought that I could be here one day with a camera creating art or taking photographs. I think I started collecting a lot of photography, and I've always had my compact camera with me when I was, as a tourist, even when I was younger, going around on holiday, and I always like to shoot the very peculiar moments of scenes that you see. I've never been really interested in a monument or a landscape, primarily because I think there are better photos of that monument or the landscape than I could ever do. And so for me, it was not about that. For me, it was about the people.
The people, right.
And maybe could be today the light. I'm starting to play a lot more with the light. I mean, ultimately, that's what photography really is. It's writing with light. So it's a lot more interested in how, shadows and very contrast between bright and dark parts of the photos. And I think in streets in a city like London, there are infinite, endless opportunities to
absolutely so
go
diverse
out.
The city
and characters, and people that have. I was the other day in central London, and there was this lady that had a mask. It had a TV as a mask in her head with 2 bunny ears, and it was so peculiar, and it's a fantastic shot, and probably will never be able to take the shot again. It's just that the serendipity of finding yourself there with the camera, looking through the camera.
Yes, and it comes to the collector point of view. What kind of art caught your eye? Tend to collect? You like?
Oh, it's that's a more difficult question. I think it has changed a lot. I think it has changed.
Yeah.
I've collected maybe 1,200, 1,300 artworks, and I have quite eclectic taste. I like a lot. So I was saying, I think it has changed over time. So at the very beginning, when I started, for instance, I was not a fan of glitch art. Glitch art is a very specific type of digital art that would have like different images shifting between one another very quickly. So it creates this almost like very flashy lights, etc. And I was not necessarily very attracted to that. And instead I found myself buying more and more pieces of that lately. I always bought a lot of abstract art.
Still image or more moving?
I think initially a lot more still images at the beginning when I approached it, when I purchased World. And I think now I'm doing a lot more animations as well. So, you know, my taste has evolved, and I think, which is a good thing. And I always love to spend time looking at art and maybe discovering a new artist. And it's not just, you know, also about it's not always just about the way the artworks look. I also like to read about the artist, their journey, where they're going, what's the meaning, especially for more conceptual art. What's the meaning behind. There is this fantastic duo that
the feeling they give to you as the audience as well, right?
The feeling and what the artist means with that piece and why it's been created and what's going to come next. And so I like to follow artists and their journey. And
do you worry about how they do in the future? Like, if they really collectible, or you actually purely like, oh, that's something I really love, that this best if the artist, you know, if the investable or not?
It's a tough question. I would say that most of the time I buy art as an investment. Surely I need to like what I buy, but there is always a bit of an element of who is the artist, where is the artist going. And you know, and I'm a very pragmatic, practical, rational person, and I, you know, I think I would be lying if I said, oh, I just buy something because I like it. Primarily because there are a million artworks that I like. So there needs to be some other criteria that you apply in choosing what to spend your money on, because money is not infinite. Probably the availability of art is. So it's so I think there are other considerations. Very, very often for me, there are considerations who I think, say, when I buy a piece of art, I am betting on the artist as well, most of the times.
Interesting. So are you, because given the NFT market going at the moment, are you concerning about the falling NFT price and also the limitation behind the Ethereum? You know, and do you think Ethereum will continue to dominate the NFT market, or the market will be divided, the different chain competing? How would you see that?
So not particularly, to give you a very short answer. I think digital art has been around for 70, 80 years in various forms. It is only in the last few years, with the advent, with the emergence of NFTs, of the NFT technology, that we have been able to really package, sell, and trade these pieces of digital art a lot more freely. And I think that has established that category within the art world and that's not going to change. So I do believe that, in 10 years' time, if you have a great digital artist or an artist that also creates digitally, because many artists, they do both physical work and digital work, and their work will still be very valuable regardless of which chain it is.
Right.
I also think from a more technical standpoint that we are going towards, and this might take some time, but we're going towards a situation where the tokens will be bridgeable. You will be able to bridge from one chain to another. So I'm not particularly worried about Ethereum, the Ethereum chain or the Tezos chain, because I think that at some point they will, it will not matter as much. And especially when we expand outside to collectors outside of the crypto space, they will buy in, with a credit card in what is called fiat money, right? And when they buy fiat money, they don't care on which chain it is. It should not, a piece of digital, because the NFT is only the package. The way I've described, I've always described NFTs with regards to digital art, is the NFT is like the PDF technology for a file. So you can put whatever you want in a PDF. You can put whatever you want. You can put a poem. You can put a document. You can put market research. You can put a link to a video. You can put a video, actually, the direct video in. You can put whatever you want in a PDF. Like now, the PDF is only the format.
Yes.
And basically, for an artwork, that's the same. PDF is the NFT is the format of the way you sell the artwork, but the artwork remains the artwork. Is a JPEG file, is a movie, is a 3D file that someone built. That's the artwork, and so it doesn't really matter where it is. You just want to know that the artwork you own is original. It's the only one maybe that exists, and it's been created by the right artist, and that's it.
So if what happens if the one chain has a problem and no one uses that anymore, how would you do it? Would that affect your investment?
I think
you bought in one chain and this
would
have a speed and scale problem, and then people don't use it anymore, and then what's gonna happen?
I mean, if there is if there is valuable art, there will be people that will build something to either move the art to another chain, wrapping the token in another chain, or it will just continue to exist just for those art transactions. Like Bitcoin, the Bitcoin blockchain is not, it's never been a chain for very high volume of transactions.
Sure.
Now it's changing a little bit, but it wasn't. And yet Bitcoin had, the rare peppers and had some very historical old NFTs that have a lot of value.
Yeah.
Even though most of the digital art is on Ethereum, it's still there, and it still has value, and there are still people interested in that particular type of art.
Right. So do you think Ethereum will continue to dominate the market, probably?
I don't think I'm technical enough to give an informed opinion. Yeah. I think so. I think we've already seen it's not as easy to come and build another ecosystem like Ethereum has done. So yes, I would probably bet more on Ethereum than on a newcomer for the next 5 years, 10 years.
Right.
But then again, I have really no expert, so don't take my advice financially.
Yeah, so we just have an informative chat here. Yeah. That's the financial advice being given here. So what would your recommendation actually for somebody, let's say, new to collecting NFT and also new to NFT as artists? They want to become an NFT artist. So it's two questions actually, for collectors and also for artists, because you did both.
Okay, let me start first with the collector. I would say very cautiously, It's a tough moment of the market right now. We are in a bear market. It's it's summer 23. We're coming after probably 9 months where the market has been every month lowering in value and in volumes and in fewer transactions. It's been a bit tough. Now this means that there are a lot of opportunities.
I would just say that, especially in the trading perspective.
But you need to know where to look. And so the problem of someone that is starting today, that is just approaching this world for the first time, is that it's quite difficult to know where to start. Where to start. So I would say Twitter is always the first port of call. It is the social media platform of choice of our community. So to go on Twitter and start following big accounts, big collectors, and maybe just start asking who are the most valuable collectors. I've actually built a website last year, an NFT collectors, the wiki, that lists the 150 most respected NFT collectors, art collectors in the space.
So follow what they invest into.
To follow, but also to follow them on Twitter first, and then see their wallets, see what they buy. But I would say there are opportunities, but you need to kind of know where to look. So I would say very cautiously, to approach this world very cautiously. And start. And obviously, at the beginning, start buying something that you like the look of. And maybe if you have someone else that you know in the space, ask for advice. Is this a good piece to buy? Is what you think? Is this a good artist, etc. For artists is easier. It's the same thing that I have been saying since I started, coming from a business. From the business world, I say if you are an artist, you are creating a product. The product is your art. So you don't have to sell your art. You can just create art and keep it in your house, and it's fine, and it's brilliant, and it's your own journey. But if you want to sell your art, you need to treat it as a product. There is no company in the world that creates a product and does not spend a lot in marketing, effort, time, money in marketing. So you need to market yourself and your art. There is no other way around. In this particular world. Now, in the traditional art world, you have galleries that would take a 50% cut of your sales, and they would do the marketing for you. They know the collectors, they keep the relationship with the collectors, etc. In this world, there is a direct relationship, part of the community. There is a direct relationship between the collectors and artists often, but that means that you as an artist need to market yourself and your art. There's no way around it. No one is going to find you otherwise.
I was joking to my friends. I said, okay, I quit finance down into the artist. As that is like running a startup without funding.
100%. That is exactly what it is. Unfortunately, it is. Like I've been very fortunate. I invested a lot of time into my Twitter profile and my brand. LordTruffington is now it's a brand. It's my brand in the space. How
did you came to LordTruffington as a name?
LordTruffington
is a great branding.
There are two components. The Lord component was a inside joke in my old company with my business partner. He was making fun of me for always dressing up very nicely to go to the office. In a startup, usually people are a lot more relaxed. I was instead always, try to always make an effort in how I was dressing. And so when we got our office, our lease for our office, he registered me as Lord instead of Mr. And so that's the joke of the Lord. The Lord part. And Truffington is a British-sized British version of my Italian last name, which is still very much a secret to the community. But it's
we'll keep that way.
And so LordTruffington it started, and it's named. Again, I think I managed to build a bit of a brand around it, and I've done that by spending a lot of time on Twitter, by really being there, and I don't think there is really a way around it. That's another thing that I would like to say to an artist. If there are artists who are already established in the traditional world, unfortunately, that doesn't translate very well into the NFT space. So there needs to
audience.
be a bit of I think everybody needs to eat a bit of humble pie and kind of almost start from the beginning to build a bit of audience. Then, of course, if the artist is great, is already established, I think it will be a lot quicker than for someone that is starting from zero. But it will require some effort and some time. And it's not for everybody. Some people would just hate it. Some artists just want to create art.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's it. And then I would say, well, then hire a manager, hire an agent, hire someone that will help you with that.
How many Twitter messages do you normally send per day?
Now less. I've eased a little bit on Twitter, and unfortunately I went through a period where I was not responding a lot because I think at the peak I really had hundreds of messages, and it was Twitter.
Each day.
Yeah, and Twitter is not made. It's not a messaging platform, so there is no way to actually manage or organize your DMs. It's impossible. It's just a list. The only platform that it's, I think, good enough for our community. So.
Fantastic. Thank you. So finally, Lord Truffington, how we find you on social media?
Very easy. It's Lord Truffington with the TRU. In every social media platform. So Instagram is my photography, particularly my photography. On Twitter is Lord Truffington. My website, my photography website is LordTruffington.com. So please go and give me a follow.
Conversations always about purpose and transformation journeys. How do you define your purpose?
I really fell in love with art and digital art especially, and it is something that for the people that have known me all my life, it's something that struck them a lot as very different, because I've never been into this space. So I've realized that art is a channel for people to express themselves, to express concepts and meaning, and bring something. And I've always admired people that could do that. Whatever I will do in the future, whatever new business I will do, I think it will be around bringing more art to more people. I have never been exposed because I did not grow up in that kind of environment. And then I went into a very analytical kind of line of work. I've never been exposed to art, and I probably wish I did more.
I suppose that to say like art, you find spreading the message through the art is one of your purpose. So that's feel like more resonates with you at this point of time.
I would say spreading art and get more people to appreciate art. And art, I'm not even just talking about something that you kind of can hang in your walls, but really trying to understand what's behind a piece of work, and what's the meaning that the artist can do, and why it has been done in a certain way. And it's quite interesting, since my photography journey is quite recent. I really started taking it a bit more seriously a year ago. But since then, I learned a lot. My house is covered in photography books now, both like street photography, street photography, and type of how manuals, etc. But one thing that I realized is that how photography is it's an incredible discipline, an artistic discipline that is in everything we do. Like now I watch a movie and I am very focused and I pick up on what the director of photography wanted to say with that particular angle, focus, color, shot, etc. And I think that more people could benefit for that kind of insight.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this conversation. Please do not forget to subscribe to the channel for more inspirational interviews.